Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Dracula read-along. I'm your host, Monica Van Fleet. I am an independent writer and researcher based out of Philadelphia. Today, we are going to discuss Chapter 11 of Dracula. Chapter 11 of Dracula covers the span of time between September 12th and September 17th. The chapter primarily consists of diary entries from Lucy Westenra and Jack Seward, though we do get another story within a story in this chapter in the form of a newspaper article. Chapter 11 of Dracula starts off with Lucy's journal entry on September 12th. She writes about her love and gratitude for Van Helsing in her journal, saying she's even grown fond of the garlic. Lucy seems to feel torn between the need for sleep and the fear of sleep itself. Next, we get a journal entry from Dr. Seward on September 13th. Our dynamic doctor duo of Van Helsing and Dr. Seward are shown into the house by Mrs. Westenra, who reports to the doctors that they should be pleased that Lucy is much better. Mrs. Westenra reports with pride that her daughter's improvement is partially due to the initiative that she herself took to remove all of the awful garlic from Lucy's room. The doctors smile and nod along with Mrs. Westenra to avoid giving her a shock due to her fragile heart condition. But as soon as Mrs. Westenra leaves the room, Dr. Seward says that he sees Van Helsing break down and cry for the first time in his life. On page 133 of the Norton Critical Edition, we read, "And then, for the first time in my life, I saw Van Helsing break down. He raised his hands over his head in sort of mute despair, and then beat his palms together in a helpless way. Finally, he sat down on a chair and, putting his hands before his face, began to sob, with loud, dry sobs that seemed to come from the very racking of his heart. Then he raised his arms again, as though appealing to the whole universe. 'God, God, God,' he said, 'what have we done? What has this poor thing done that we are so sore beset? Is there fate amongst us still sent down from the pagan world of old, that such things must be, and in such a way? This poor mother, all unknowing and all for the best as she think, does such thing as lose her daughter, body and soul, and we must not tell her. Oh, we must not even warn her, or she die, and then both die. Oh, how we are beset! How are all the powers of the devil against us?' Suddenly he jumped to his feet. 'Come,' he said, 'come, we must see and act. Devils or no devils, or all the devils at once, it matters not. We must fight him all the same.' The doctors go in to see Lucy, who is now deathly pale. Seward prepares for another blood transfusion, but Van Helsing says that Seward is already weakened, so he must act as surgeon and instead transfuse Van Helsing's blood into Miss Lucy. In Lucy's diary, she said that she has had 4 peaceful nights and feels as though she's emerging from a nightmare, though she notes that on the previous night, something was flapping at the window. Next, we get our story within a story, with the newspaper clipping from the Pall Mall Gazette, which was a London evening newspaper and review named after a major street in Westminster. This article is from September 18th. It contains an interview with a zookeeper named Thomas Bilder about a mysterious wolf that escapes from the zoo. The story provides a few scares as well as some well-paced comedic relief. Thomas Bilder also speaks with a Cockney accent, providing another example of how Bram Stoker used slang as an economic signifier throughout the novel. Bilder tells a funny story, but upon further coaxing from the journalist, he reports that the previous day when checking on the wolf Berserker, there was a tall man with red eyes near his cage. This man with red eyes notes that the wolf seems upset, and Bilder says, well, maybe it's you that's upsetting them. Bilder explains to the reporter that wolves are low creatures, which contributes to the reader's understanding of Dracula's affinity for them. Berserker goes mysteriously missing that evening, but he mysteriously reappears during the interview, and Bilder notes that the poor animal has been cut by glass. Next up is another entry from Dr. Seward's diary from September 17th. Dr. Seward says that he was working in his study, but he is shocked when, after escaping his own room, Renfield bursts in and attacks Dr. Seward with a dinner knife, slashing at his wrist. The attendant helps Seward while Renfield licks blood up off the floor. After this strange and frightful encounter, we learn that Dr. Seward is not where he should be after a telegram from Seward to Van Helsing was delayed. This means that Lucy has inadvertently been left all alone. Our final journal entry in Chapter 11 is a memorandum left by Lucy Westenra from the night of September 17th. Lucy has been sleeping in her garland of garlic as directed, but she awakes to see a large bat flapping at her window. Mrs. Westenra comes to stay with Lucy, but then a wolf leaps through the window, breaking the glass. Mrs. Westenra has a cardiac event due to her vulnerable condition and dies from the shock, accidentally pulling the garlic off of Lucy in the process. 4 maids rush in, frightened by the commotion, discovering Mrs. Westenra. Everyone is very upset, so Lucy sends the maids off to get a glass of wine to calm their nerves. Later, she goes to find them, discovering that they've all passed out because the wine was spiked with laudanum. Lucy is now alone in the house with 4 unconscious maids and the body of her dead mother. She dares not go outside because she can hear the wolf howling. After Lucy finishes her diary entry, she tucks the pages into her gown to be discovered should she not survive the night. And that is the end of the chapter. In chapter 11, Dracula executes his plans for an assault on Hillingham, using the wolf Berserker and taking advantage of Dr. Van Helsing's absence. Lucy's fate hangs in the balance as the battle for her soul intensifies. In this week's Substack Deep Dive, we'll cover part 2 of The Blood is the Life, which is a deep dive on how Victorians viewed the literal and symbolic connections to blood. Be sure to tune in next week to chapter 12 when our beloved jovial Texan returns to the stage.